in case you haven't heard, on April 8th, we will have a solar eclipse. And we want to find out what's exactly going to happen. And I'm here today with Suzie Dill, who is the director of the Hoover Price Planetarium at the Mckinley Museum. All right, you're the expert. We need to know what's going to happen when the solar eclipse occurs.
Okay, so good morning. So we're very excited because we're about 74 days now until the total solar eclipse. So what is going to be happening? What is going on? So we have two types of eclipses. We have lunar eclipses and we have solar eclipses. And you can see, of course, the sun, moon, and earth all play a part in that. But it just depends on the lineup of those three objects. So you can see for our solar eclipse, we're going to have the sun, moon, and earth. And then you can see the different lineup for the lunar eclipse. So on April 8th, of course, we're going to see the top lineup occurring. And so another really important thing, and this is kind of a really cool coincidence, the apparent size of the moon and sun is exactly the same in the sky. But think about it. The sun is huge compared to the moon, but the sun is 400 times further away from us and the moon is 400 times closer. So think about that. So that apparent size then is exactly the same. That is a perfect coincidence of those two bodies in the sky. So why don't we have eclipses every month? We have them a couple times a year, either lunar or solar. But why don't we have one every single month? Well, if you take a look here, the moon's orbit is slightly tilted off the orbit of the Earth around the sun. So therefore, it's either above Earth's shadow or below. So a couple times a year, we get in that lineup where that shadow is going to just hit just right to have either the lunar or solar eclipse. So on April 8th, we're going to once again have our perfect lineup of the three bodies, and then the moon is going to be just in that right position to cast that shadow on Earth. So this is a nice graphic of what will happen that day. You can see the sun once again. We talked about the lineup, but the moon is smaller than Earth, so that shadow isn't going to completely cover our planet. So by the time it gets to Earth, it's going to be a concentrated, a smaller shadow, and we call that dark shadow the umbra. Very, very fortunate for Ohio. A lot of Ohio is going to be in that deep, dark umbra shadow. The last time we've had it happen in Ohio was 1806.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So the next one for Ohio is 2099. And then for Northeast Ohio, it's 2444.
So we won't see it.
This is right. This is a once in a lifetime event. So we'll be in that deep, dark umbra shadow. This is what that shadow trail is what we call it. This is what it's going to look like that day. It's about 124 miles wide. We talked about it, just that shadow hitting Earth, not in a large area of planet Earth, but it will sweep across, starting in Mexico, going up through the U.S. into Canada. It takes about 96 minutes for that shadow trail to travel across. It's going about 2,000 miles per hour because remember, planet Earth is rotating. So as we're rotating, that shadow is going to move very quickly up across the country.
Now, when we talk about the path of totality, we hear that all the time. What does that mean? And where is Canton? Where is Cleveland? How will that work?
Okay, so this is just I'll just show you this real quick and then we'll go into the path of totality just to show you this is how fast it's going to travel. And it's going to be that dark, that not very wide umbra shadow that's going to come up across.
Wow.
And then you could see it go up through Ohio. Okay, so this is a nice close-up map. This is Ohio. So you see those two blue lines? That is the path of totality. So anyone within those two blue lines, those are the locations that are going to see the total solar eclipse. The red line, that represents center line, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to as central line. Any of those locations are going to have the longest duration of totality. So if you're on center line, you're going to see almost 4 minutes of deep twilight. You're going to actually get to see the corona of the sun, the atmosphere. So we don't ever see that because the sun is so bright. So during totality, we will see that. Unfortunately, if you look close at the map, the city of Canton is just outside the southern border of totality. So right now, we talk about this a lot with folks that come into the programs just because we want them to be prepared. Do you want to see the total? It's a difference between seeing a lightning bug and lightning. I mean, everyone that describes a total solar eclipse says it's the grandest celestial event they've ever seen. There's people that repeat, they'll go all around the world watching solar eclipses because it's just so awe-inspiring. So now is the time, if you want to see this grand event, you want to make your plans. So I use this map a lot too because it'll show you, you can see where central line is, so almost 4 minutes of totality. But the further you get away from that line, the shorter the duration of totality. Okay, so Akron, they're going to be around 3 minutes. By the time you get to North Canton, it's going to be about 30 to 60 seconds. So if you want to try to get to center line, this is where you got to start making those plans now. There is going to be an immense amount of people that are going to come in. If it's a clear day, Lorain County is expecting about 1 million people extra. So that's why we just want folks to think about where you want to be that day. You can stay in Canton. You'll see about 99% of the sun covered, but you won't have the grand spectacle of the corona of the sun. And then we look at all kinds of different maps. This is a great one. This shows the different counties in Ohio. So folks, once again, can get the idea. The one on the right is, that's a closer look in at Stark County and surrounding areas. So people can get an idea of their locations and whether or not they're in the path. We have a lot of resources, timeanddate.com. That's a great one if you want to know the exact timeline for the eclipse.
And some places are canceling school.
Yes.
I know up north there are some places already have canceled school for that day because of it.
Right.
Now I have to pick one of these up, and you have to tell me why I have to wear some of these very attractive glasses.
All right. So the sun is very, well, if you don't, I mean, we have all kinds of different methods too. I have like a handheld one too. So, and you guys, I got you, and there's 2 pairs there. You guys can take one. Because the sun is very powerful. Even any normal day, you absolutely, there you go. You absolutely cannot look at the sun. Yeah. Because it's so powerful. So you can see, we can't even see any light coming through these filters. So, so you want to protect your eyes. And so these types of solar filter glasses were developed specifically. So you can see there's like a film. That's a very specialized type of film that they use to protect your eyes. So you could go out any day, put these on, and take a look at the sun. It's pretty cool. You could even practice. The most important thing when you are either purchasing these glasses or someone might hand you a pair to take, they should be certified. There's a code on, let me see if I have, this is the timeline for Canton before I get off of that slide.
Oh, okay.
So it starts around 2 o'clock, 3:15. is the maximum, about 99% in Canton, and then 4:30 it's all over.
Okay. Good to know.
And that's why a lot of schools are not in session that day, because I'll get to we can go back to some of these other ones. Here's the glasses, but you can see that ISO code, the 12312-2. Sometimes you'll see 2015 after, but they're still fine. Anyway, that code, you should see that code on any pair of solar glasses that you will be using to look at the sun.
Okay, that's important to know.
Very, very important. And if you're using binoculars or a telescope, you should have a special filter, which will have this similar sort of look to it, so that it's safe to view with binoculars or telescope. And I actually have a solar filter for a couple of my telescopes. So, you have to put that on the telescope too when you're viewing a solar eclipse. The only time you can take these off is during totality. So if you are in that path of totality, and when the sun is completely covered by the moon, you can take your glasses off for just that period of time. So I'll be up in Avon Lake. So we know at 3:13 and some seconds, we're going to be able to take our glasses off. And then by 3:17, we got to put them right back on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So be very careful, because it can be very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Very dangerous.
Can definitely permanently damage your eyesight.
Right. Talk a little bit about what happens with nature and those different things, because it's kind of interesting what, animals and things like that, what happens to them during this time.
Okay, so we're in April, so we won't have crickets at that particular time, but we can think about birds. So as we're approaching totality, it's going to get, like I said, deep twilight. So birds are going to start to roost. They're going to start to think that it's sunset. We may hear a couple owls off in a distance. The temperature is going to drop. Mammals, squirrels, and other mammals may start to react differently because we'll be getting into deep twilight. So it will definitely have an effect. And the cool thing is we're going to be able to observe that. So what happens? We'll definitely be able to see the temperature drop. So we can monitor that, but we'll also be keeping an eye on all the different types of mammals and birds around to see how they're going to react to it.
Yeah. So this is a cool day for not only astronomy folks but scientists alike. You have a lot to learn, right?
Right. So it's very important during totality because we have that opportunity to see the corona of the sun. That's very important to scientists, so they can do a lot of research and studying the corona, because that's going to tell us a lot about that activity or solar storms that we might incur with the sun. The sun is incredibly powerful. Yeah. So we need to learn more about that activity and some of those stronger effects of the solar storms. So yes, this is a great opportunity for scientists to do a lot of research and testing. And they'll do temperature testing, and it's just really an awesome science day. Not only the spectacle of it, but what that would mean for our understanding of the sun.